Hey everybody, thank you for taking the time to watch this podcast. First of all, I also want to thank you for your patience. As you can imagine, this has been a very unusual time, probably one of the most dynamic periods of American history, certainly one of the most dynamic periods that you will live through. Things are moving pretty quickly, information is changing pretty quickly, and as a result, the administration here at Campbellsville University has been on a daily basis trying to update what will become the new normal for our university, at least for the next 2 or 3 months, and perhaps even longer, depending on how our government responds to the coronavirus crisis. Now, as you know, the original plan by the administration was to essentially go virtual for 2 weeks. That was the plan that many other school systems had. But as it became pretty apparent to the administration that 2 weeks would not be long enough for the COVID crisis to pass, the decision was made to go to a fully virtual semester for the rest of the semester. We as faculty were instructed to make permanent modifications to our syllabus, and I spent the last week kind of fighting through all of my classes and in fact fighting through a sinus infection to try to figure out what the most effective way was to take our previous in-seat course and turn it fully virtual or fully online. Now, it's really important that we do this. Your degree needs to count for something, and our accrediting agency has already told all of the colleges and universities it accredits that we need to have an effective plan where we can demonstrate that the education our students receive virtually is equivalent to the education that they would otherwise receive in seat. So here's what I wanted to do in this video. I wanted to take a couple of minutes to talk about the changes to the syllabus that I've made, and also to walk you through both the syllabus and the Moodle site that has been updated to reflect those changes. So first of all, let's talk a little bit about how the syllabus is different now than what it was before. The biggest differences that you'll notice will be with the creation of what is called alternative assignments. And these are replacing the weekly assignments that we had before, as well as a change in the final grades formula. Now, the idea behind the alternative assignments is that every week we're going to have about 3 or 4 alternative assignments that are going to be available to you, the student, to complete. Over the course of the semester, you have to do a total of 15 of these. This works out to be about 2 or 3 a week, depending on the week. Now, if you've already done unit writing assignments, you haven't lost those. Those just simply count towards the total that you need for alternative assignments. So if you did all 3, you have fewer assignments you have to do moving forward. If you didn't do any, well, congratulations, you get the chance to make up for not doing that because there are plenty enough assignments to go around. Now, among these, most of these writing assignments are going to be exactly alternative assignments rather than writing assignments. So you're going to have to watch a video or answer a question just like the previous ones. But I'm also adding an additional alternative assignment, which is going to be a video lecture option. And what that means is that once a week, at both 9 o'clock and 11 o'clock, because I'm teaching 2 Intro to American Government sections, but once a week, I'll be logging on during our normal class time to go over a very condensed version of our course slides and try to engage in a discussion with you. Now, some of this material will be material that you'll be able to find in the textbook or in the video or written assignments, and so it might be review. So the real goal of these will be to make sure that you understand the content, but some of the content will be completely original, just like in our normal class time, which means that this content may very well appear on the tests, and you will be held responsible for it. Now, if you log into these videos, then you will receive an automatic full credit of 20 points if you log in with both video and audio fully engaged. In other words, I get to see you, I get to see what you're doing, and we get to have a conversation on the content. It's going to be possible to log in audio only, however, without video. And if you do that, you'll get 16 points, roughly the equivalent of getting a B. Now, for those of you who can't log in, which might be possible because you have unstable internet connections, you won't be able to get credit, but you will be able to use the videos for the class. All of the video sessions will be recorded and will be uploaded, so that way you have a chance to view them later, but without getting the point credit. Now, as a result of the addition of these assignments, it now is going to take 540 points to get an A, rather than I think it was 360 before. But again, this is an accommodation that's necessary because of the virtual nature of what we're dealing with right now as we're working through the coronavirus problem. Now, what does this look like whenever you go into Moodle? In other words, how are you going to see the class differently? Well, we're finishing up what is lesson 10, and I've already gone in and changed the unit 5 to unit 4 to reflect what we're currently doing right now. And so at the end of today, we should be finishing up that lesson 10, and moving on to lesson 11. Now, lesson 11 will be made available to you tomorrow, March the 22nd. And this is essentially what it's going to look like. As you can see, all of the lessons now have dates attached to them, both the lesson 11 does and lesson 12 does. So that way, as you're viewing, you'll be able to kind of follow along. You'll also be able to have this one be shifted to the focus, so that way you'll know which lesson you're going to work through. As before, we would start off each lesson with a lesson notes slide and a quiz over that lesson. And as before, you're going to be required to take the lesson checkpoint quizzes in order to complete any of the assignments. Now, you'll notice that for Unit 11, you must complete 3 of the 4 options in order to stay on pace. Now, if you only do 2, that's fine, but that means that you're going to have to do more later. But as long as you do 3 of the 4 options this week, then you should be on pace to continue, keep up with the class as we're moving along. And since lesson 11 finishes up a unit, you will have the normal unit 4 exam. Now notice you have the unit 4 exam, but I've removed the retake option. So since we're doing fully online now, we're not going to have retakes available for students in the class. So this basic structure will be continued for the rest of the semester. The first lesson of each unit will have 3 assignments available. You can do all 3, but you only need to do 2. And then the second lesson of the unit will have 4 assignments available. You can do all 4, but you really only need to do 3. At the end of the semester, just as we were planning on doing before, we will have a final exam that is going to be made available. And again, just as before, only the top 6 exam grades are going to be included in your final grade, which means if you want to take the final exam, you're more than welcome to. But if you don't want to and your grade is high enough and you're happy with the scores that you have, then the final exam becomes completely optional. So that's it, a quick run view of the syllabus and how the course is going to go from here on out. We're going to finish up lesson 10 using the instructions you were provided, and then we're going to move to lessons 11, 12, 13, 14, 15 to get us to the end of the semester, and then ultimately take the final exam at the end. Now, if you have any questions, please do not hesitate to shoot me an email. Send me a text message if you have my cell phone number, and I'll try to get back to you as quickly as I can. And hopefully, we'll have a little bit more stability as we go forward, so I'll be able to respond a bit more quickly with correct answers than I have this past week, since we didn't necessarily know what the answers were. Now, until then, stay safe. Practice all the self-isolation and social distancing requirements that we're currently going through. And I'll hopefully talk to you guys on Wednesday.